IORA is of special importance to South Africa because the association was formed as a result of the vision of President Mandela. In 1995, President Mandela was on a visit to India. And during this visit, he proposed the idea of creating an organization that brings together all of the littoral states of the Indian Ocean into one formation for the benefit of all of the countries of the Indian Ocean. So South Africa was a founding member of IORA when it was launched on the 7th of March, 1997 in Mauritius, where the Secretariat of the IORA is based. So we have a strong bondage to the association. And as a founding member, we have contributed greatly to its growth over the past 26 years. We had the pleasure of chairing IORA between 2017 and 2019. And we also were very involved in the first summit that took place in 2017 in Jakarta under Indonesia's chairship, where the first plan of action of IORA was adopted, and South Africa co-chaired the process that led to the adoption of the plan of action, and the Jakarta Concord, where the leaders of IORA all pledged to work together to work in ensuring that the region is peaceful, stable, and that we harness the vast economic opportunities that the Indian Ocean has for all of us. The combined GDP of the Indian Ocean region is $25 trillion. That's a quarter of the global GDP. And it provides tremendous opportunities for us, especially in the area of the blue economy. South Africa is currently the chair of the working group on the blue economy. And as you know, we ourselves in 2014 launched our own blue economy blueprint, Operation Pakisa, to look at how we can harness the opportunities that the Indian Ocean, the oceans provide for South Africa. It's still a relatively untapped area globally in terms of the economic opportunities that the oceans provide for humanity. Of course, it is significant that of the 23 member states, 9 of them are from Africa. So almost 40% of the membership of IORA is from the African continent. And we are in the process of negotiating an MOU with the African Union so that we have an interactive relationship between IORA and the African Union, and also synergize the endeavors of the African Union. You've mentioned the Decade of the Ocean and Seas that the AU adopted in 2015 for the period 2015 to 2025. And the priorities of the Agenda 2063 specifically speaks to the ocean economy, the blue economy, and how it could also work towards addressing Africa's developmental needs and further grow our economies. So Agenda 2063 and the Decade of the Ocean and Seas of the AU synergizes very well with the key priority areas of IORA, the 6 priority areas that we've identified, which includes maritime safety and security, trade and investment facilitation, fisheries management, disaster risk management, academic science and technology cooperation, and tourism promotion.
Mr. Sooklal, perhaps let me just stop you there and talk about some of the priority areas that you've mentioned: maritime safety and security, and trade and investment facilitation. Recently, we saw South Africa come under criticism, particularly over the relationships it enjoys with its BRICS partners and in the naval exercises that it's undertaken, military cooperation or exercises that it's also embarked on, seen as hostile to some Western nations. So I'm just wondering, ideologically, are these conversations changing in a world order that is said to be too changing?
Well, we live in a period of transition, and some scholars have referred to the period as living in between orders. We no longer live in a unipolar world, and we are not yet in a multipolar world, which as South Africa we'd like to see. a more equitable, inclusive global order. And the Indian Ocean is important because you have now major focus on the Indo-Pacific, of which one half is the Indian Ocean. And there are predictions that the future global order will be contested within the Indo-Pacific region. Now, for South Africa, and I believe the African continent and the global South, having a stable, secure, peaceful Indo-Pacific region is very important. In 1971, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution, Resolution 2832, that declared the Indian Ocean as a zone of peace. And we are saying that not only the Indian Ocean, but the Indo-Pacific region as a whole should be declared as a zone of peace. And I think this is one of the key priority areas of Africa and the IORA, where we can work together to ensure that the ocean is a zone of peace. It's a zone that addresses the developmental challenges of countries like us, and it should not be an area of contestation and conflict. And I think it's important to add that South Africa is friends with all countries in the world, and we have naval and military exercises with both the global North and the global South. So this is not unique to a particular set of countries. We have military exercises within IPSA, the India-Brazil-South Africa configuration that meets under the IPSA-MA, our naval exercises that take place once in every 2 years. So we are constantly looking at opportunities in order to build capacity for our navies, for our military. And we do this with partners from the global North and the global South. Because as I've said, we are friends with everyone in the world. We don't have problems with anyone. And South Africa likes to maintain a non-aligned, strategically neutral position. We don't like to be categorized as falling in one particular camp or the other. We would like to see a more equitable and balanced global community. And we would not like to see a world dominated by one or two hegemons. I think that those days are past us.
Right. I was going to ask, but perhaps if you can answer very briefly, will it always be possible to take a non-aligned stance? Let's talk about the blue economy against the backdrop of climate change and our growing energy needs, given the challenges that we're facing. We know that water has become a scarce resource around the world, and countries that are fighting over national and international waters. So what kind of strategy then do we adopt within the confinement of this cooperation?
Well, South Africa, since the dawn of our democracy, has had an independent foreign policy, and we have very ably managed that independent foreign policy without falling into one or the other camp. And I think we must continue to do so because we have strong partnerships with the key countries of the global North and with the global South. And I think all of these partnerships are important for us, the bilateral relationship as well as the multilateral relationship. I think adhering to a multilateral global order underpinned by the purposes and principles of the United Nations Charter is what we'd like to see as the guiding principle in terms of international relations. And that is basically the principle we adopt in our relationship with countries globally, including within the multilateral domain. So I think adhering to the multilateral system is extremely important.